The meeting. The great hall of the alien council was silent. The chamber was built from shining black stone, tall and curved like the inside of a vast shell. Blue lights ran across the walls, glowing with a soft hum that reminded humans of ocean waves. At the center of this hall stood a single human, alone but standing tall. He was an ambassador, chosen to speak for his people. His name was Marcus Hale. He wore a simple dark uniform with no weapons. But on his hand was a silver ring that caught the light whenever he moved. He did not think much of it. The ring had always been with him, a gift from his father long ago. Yet today, in this place, the ring would change everything. Around him sat dozens of alien leaders. Their eyes glowed in the dim light. Some had scaled faces, some had long tendrils, and others looked like tall statues carved from crystal. They all stared at the human with curiosity, some with fear, some with anger, and a few with quiet respect. At the far end of the chamber sat the elder Matriarch. She was older than any being Marcus had ever seen. Her skin was pale and lined with silver veins. Her eyes burned like molten fire. She leaned on a staff carved from living bone. Her presence filled the hall with authority and weight. No one spoke without her command. She studied the human for a long time. Her gaze was sharp, not cruel, but heavy, as if she could see more than just the man before her. The other aliens shifted nervously, waiting for her judgment. Marcus did not move. He felt the weight of 1,000 alien eyes, yet he kept his chin high. Finally, the matriarch's voice broke the silence. It was deep and cracked with age, but it carried through the hall like thunder. "Human," she said, "why do you wear that ring?" Her words cut through the air. Every alien in the chamber turned to look at Marcus's hand. Their glowing eyes narrowed. Their whispers filled the room like buzzing insects. Marcus looked down at the silver ring. His father had given it to him when he was a boy. He never thought it was special. It was simply part of him. He raised his hand slowly, letting the blue lights of the hall reflect off the band. "This ring?" he asked, his voice calm. The matriarch's eyes narrowed further. She leaned forward on her staff. Her hands trembled, but her gaze did not. "That is no simple trinket," she said. "That mark upon it has not been seen in 10,000 years." The council gasped. Their voices rose in a storm of disbelief. Some aliens hissed, others shouted in their native tongues. The sound echoed through the great hall. Marcus remained still, letting them react. The matriarch raised her staff, and silence fell again. She pointed the staff toward the human, her hand shaking not with weakness, but with fear. "Tell me, human," she demanded, "where did you get the ring?" Marcus could feel the weight of her question. His heart beat faster, but his face stayed calm. He remembered the night his father gave it to him. He remembered the quiet words. "This will protect you one day, though you will not understand why until the moment comes." He had never spoken of it to anyone, not even to his closest friends. "It was a gift," Marcus said slowly. His voice carried across the silent hall. "It was given to me by my father." The matriarch's eyes widened. A shiver ran through the council. The word father echoed in their minds, not because of the man himself, but because of what the ring represented. "Impossible!" one alien shouted from the side. "The humans are too young. That symbol belongs to the first ones, the builders, the vanished race." "Lies!" cried another. "He cannot know what he wears." The chamber filled again with noise. Marcus stood alone in the storm of voices. But his silence was more powerful than their shouting. He simply lowered his hand, the ring catching the light once more. The matriarch silenced them again with a single look. Her voice was softer now, but filled with something deeper, fear, or perhaps respect. "Human," she said slowly, "you wear a mark that even my ancestors feared. The question remains, why?" Marcus met her gaze, his eyes steady, his voice low, but strong enough to be heard. "You already know the answer," he said. The hall froze. The aliens leaned forward, their voices caught in their throats. The matriarch gripped her staff tighter, her face unreadable, her heart trembled. For the first time in many centuries, the elder matriarch did not know what to say. The silence in the hall was heavier than stone. The question. The silence in the alien hall stretched on. It pressed down on every being present like a heavy stone. Even the glowing blue walls seemed to hold their breath. The human, Marcus Hale, stood alone in the middle, calm yet alert, while the elder alien matriarch fixed her fiery eyes on him. Her voice, though cracked with age, carried sharp authority. "Again, human," she said slowly, "I will ask you, where did you get that ring?" The sound of her words echoed across the chamber. No one dared to move. The question was more than curiosity. It was demand, warning, and prophecy, all wrapped together. Marcus raised his hand slightly, looking at the silver band that glimmered under the hall's cold light. The ring had never seemed important to him before. It had been nothing more than a keepsake from his father, worn out of habit and sentiment. But here, under the gaze of 1,000 alien eyes, it was suddenly something else, something dangerous. "This ring," Marcus said quietly, "was passed to me by my father. I never asked him where he got it. I only knew it was meant to stay with me." A low growl of disbelief spread among the alien leaders. Some of them leaned closer, their strange eyes wide. One with shimmering scales hissed, "Impossible. No human bloodline could ever hold such a relic." Another, with skin like cracked stone, slammed a heavy fist on the table before him. The builders left no heir. Their marks vanished with them. Still others whispered in tones of fear rather than anger, "It cannot be. It must not be. If true, everything changes." The matriarch lifted her staff, silencing the storm of voices. Her breathing was steady, but her hands trembled slightly as she leaned forward. Her ancient eyes locked onto the human as if trying to pierce his very soul. "You do not understand," she said. "That ring does not belong to your people. It is older these, and the stars you sail between, older than the council itself. To wear it is no small matter. Human, if your father gave it to you, then tell us, where did he find it?" Marcus did not answer immediately. He could feel the tension wrapping tighter around him. He remembered the words his father had spoken long ago, words he thought were only a father's attempt at mystery. "One day, this ring will protect you, but do not speak of it until the moment arrives." Was this the moment? Marcus was not sure, but he could see the matriarch's eyes glowing brighter with each second of silence. The council leaned forward like predators waiting for the strike. "I cannot tell you where my father found it," Marcus finally said. "He never told me. He only said it was meant to be mine, nothing more." A loud hiss erupted from one side of the hall. A younger alien counselor stood, his sharp tendrils curling in anger. "Then he lies!" the counselor shouted. "He hides the truth. He brings forbidden relics into our hall. He is a spy, a thief of histories." Others joined in, their voices rising. "Exile him!" shouted one. "Strip him of the ring!" growled another. The hall was chaos once more. Marcus remained still, but his eyes scanned the crowd. He could see the fear behind their anger. They feared the ring more than they hated him. The matriarch struck her staff against the stone floor. The sound rang like thunder, and the hall fell silent again. She glared at the younger counselors, then back at Marcus. "Perhaps you are a thief," she said coldly. "Or perhaps you are something more. Do not mistake my question for simple curiosity, human. That symbol on your hand belongs to a people my ancestors once served, a people who vanished before your kind learned to build fire." A ripple of shock passed through the chamber. Marcus tilted his head slightly. "And yet," he said softly, "you see it now, on the hand of a human." The matriarch's grip tightened on her staff. For a brief moment, the fire in her eyes flickered with uncertainty. Then she leaned back slowly. "You speak boldly," she said, "but boldness does not make truth. I will ask one more time. Do you know what the ring means? Marcus looked down at the ring again. The silver surface was etched with faint lines, markings that had never faded. He had never understood them, never even questioned them. Now, under the matriarch's words, they seemed to pulse faintly with light. Or maybe it was only his imagination. I do not know its meaning, Marcus admitted. But I know one thing. It chose me. I did not search for it. I did not steal it. It came to me, and it has stayed with me all my life. The matriarch closed her eyes for a moment. Her breathing slowed. The council waited, none daring to interrupt. When she opened her eyes again, there was something new in her gaze. Fear, yes, but also a hint of awe. Then perhaps, she whispered, the prophecy is not a lie. The chamber froze. Every alien sat in silence. No one moved, no one breathed. The word prophecy carried weight heavier than mountains. Marcus felt the air grow colder around him. What prophecy? He asked, his voice steady. The matriarch's lips trembled as she spoke. Long ago, the builders left us. They promised their return, but not in the form we knew them. They said one day a bearer of the ring would stand before us, not of their flesh, but chosen by their will. That bearer would awaken what has long been forgotten and guide the stars into a new age. Her words echoed like thunder through the great hall. The counselors exchanged looks of terror. Some whispered prayers in alien tongues. Others simply stared at Marcus, their faces pale. Marcus remained silent, letting the words sink in. He could feel the shift in the room, the fear, the awe, the weight of something far greater than him. He did not fully understand, but he knew one thing. The question was no longer about the ring. It was about him. And in that moment, Marcus realized the council did not see him as just a man anymore. They saw him as the answer to a promise written in the stars. The matriarch's voice broke the silence once more, sharper than a blade. So I ask you, human, are you the one? The chamber held its breath, waiting for his reply. The rising tension. The matriarch's final words, "Are you the one?" hung in the chamber like thunder. No one moved, no one dared to even breathe. The question was more dangerous than any weapon, more powerful than any army. Marcus Hale stood still in the center of the great hall, his face unreadable, his mind racing. He had faced alien generals, warships, and battlefields before, but never a moment like this. The eyes of the entire council burned into him, waiting for his reply. But Marcus did not speak. His silence was louder than words, and that silence set the council aflame. A younger alien, his tendrils quivering with rage, slammed a clawed hand on the stone table. "This is madness," he roared. "No human could be chosen. The prophecy is a lie. A human cannot be the heir of the builders." Another counselor rose to his feet, his crystal-like skin glowing faintly. "You fear the truth," he said coldly. "Look at the ring. You know what it means. You just do not want to believe it." Arguments broke out across the hall. Some shouted for Marcus to be executed at once, calling him a fraud and a danger. Others demanded proof, while a few whispered with trembling voices that perhaps the prophecy had finally come true. The chamber became a storm. Dozens of alien voices clashed together in anger, fear, and disbelief. The blue lights of the walls flickered as if the hall itself reacted to their emotions. Through it all, Marcus stood silently. He did not move, did not flinch. His calm presence only seemed to provoke the council further. Some aliens began pounding their fists on the tables, their voices echoing like drums of war. The matriarch finally raised her staff and struck it against the floor. The booming sound silenced the chamber, but tension still hummed in the air like electricity before lightning. Her fiery eyes returned to Marcus. "You stand before us, silent, calm, as if you hold a secret," she said. "If you truly know nothing of the ring, why do you look at me as though you do?" Marcus met her gaze, steady and unshaken. "Because you already know the answer," he replied quietly. "You know more about this ring than I do." The words cut through the hall. Every alien froze again. The younger counselors glared with anger, but the older ones shifted uneasily, their faces clouded with memories they dared not speak. The matriarch's staff trembled in her hand. For a long moment, she said nothing. Her silence made the council restless, until finally, one of the younger warriors could hold back no longer. "Enough games," he shouted. "This human dares to speak as though he is our equal. He mocks us with silence. He must be tested." "Tested?" Marcus asked, his voice calm. The warrior sneered. "Yes, let him prove what he is. If he is chosen, the ring will show us. If he is not, then we shall take his head." The council erupted again. Voices clashed, some in favor of the challenge, others warning of doom. The matriarch closed her eyes as if weighing the choice. Finally, she raised her hand for silence. "Perhaps the test is the only way," she said softly. Her eyes burned as she fixed them on Marcus. "Human, if you claim no lies, then you will not fear a trial." Marcus tilted his head slightly. His heart beat faster, but his voice remained calm. "And what kind of trial do you have in mind?" The matriarch leaned forward, her voice heavy with ancient weight. "There is a chamber beneath this hall, a place forbidden for ages. It was built by the builders themselves. No one has entered it and returned unchanged." Whispers swept through the council like a storm. "The Chamber of Echoes," one alien muttered, fear in his voice. Another hissed, "It is death. He will not survive." The matriarch's staff struck the ground again. Silencing them. "If the ring is true, the chamber will reveal it. If he is a fraud, the chamber will take his life." All eyes turned back to Marcus. The human's face was unreadable. Inside, his mind churned. He had no idea what the chamber was, no idea what it held. But he knew one thing: refusing would mean death anyway. He straightened his shoulders, his voice calm. "Then take me there," he said. "I will face your trial." The council gasped. Some sneered, certain the human had signed his own death. Others leaned forward in awe, whispering that no being had ever accepted so quickly. The matriarch stared at him for a long time. Her fiery eyes softened. Just for a moment, then she nodded slowly. "Very well," she said. "Tonight, the Chamber of Echoes will open, and the truth will decide who you are." The hall fell into silence once again. But this time, the silence was not calm. It was heavy, dangerous, and filled with the rising tension of something far greater than any of them could control. And as Marcus stood there, the ring on his hand caught the light once more. This time, for the first time, the silver band seemed to pulse faintly with a glow of its own. The council saw it, and their fear deepened, but no one spoke. The silence was louder than thunder, and the storm was only beginning. The revelation begins. The great council chamber emptied slowly, yet its silence lingered like a ghost. The decision had been made. Marcus Hale, the human with the strange silver ring, would face the Chamber of Echoes. For the aliens, this was no ordinary test. It was a trial that even their kind feared, a place of legend that had swallowed beings far stronger than Marcus and never returned them whole. Guards with armor of black metal led Marcus down long spiral corridors beneath the council hall. The walls here were different, not carved by alien hands, but smooth and seamless. They carried faint, glowing patterns, etched in shapes Marcus did not recognize, symbols older than the council itself. The aliens avoided looking at them. Their heads bowed, their steps hurried, but Marcus stared at the marks, and somewhere in his mind they felt familiar, not as if he had seen them before, but as if they were waiting for him to understand. At last, they reached a massive door. It was not built of stone or metal. It was alive. The surface shimmered like liquid silver, yet it was solid. The guards stopped, refusing to go any closer. One of them, a tall being with scales like burning coal, turned to the matriarch, who had followed silently. "Elder," the guard said in a low voice, "you cannot truly mean to send him inside. The chamber rejects all who are unworthy. We will lose him." The matriarch's fiery eyes did not waver. "If he is not meant to bear the ring, then it is better we lose him now than later," she replied. "But if he is chosen, then the chamber will reveal it." She stepped forward and pointed her staff at the door. The liquid silver rippled as if it felt her presence. The air grew colder. Every guard backed away, leaving only Marcus and the matriarch standing before the great living wall. "Human," she said, her voice heavy with centuries of memory, "you still had the time to turn away. If you step into the chamber of echoes, you will face what no one else has faced. The chamber does not lie. It will strip you of secrets, of fears, of falsehoods. It will show you what you truly are." Marcus looked at the shimmering surface. A strange calm filled him. He remembered his father's words once more. "This will protect you one day." The moment was here. He tightened his hand into a fist, the ring gleaming faintly under the cold light. "I am not afraid," Marcus said. The matriarch studied him carefully, searching his face for any sign of weakness, but she found none. At last, she struck her staff against the ground, and the silver wall rippled like water disturbed by stone. The door opened. A swirling light appeared inside, shifting colors of blue, silver, and deep black. It was like staring into the heart of a storm. The air rushed outward, cold and sharp, carrying whispers that were not voices, but still carried meaning. The guards bowed their heads, refusing to watch. The matriarch stepped aside, giving Marcus a clear path. "Then enter," she said, her tone neither cruel nor kind, "and let the chamber decide your truth." Marcus stepped forward, each movement steady. The silver surface rose higher, wrapping around him like liquid light. For a heartbeat, he hesitated, not in fear, but in awe. Then he stepped inside, the door sealed shut behind him. The chamber swallowed him whole. Inside, there was no floor, no ceiling, no walls. Marcus floated in endless darkness, yet it was not empty. Shapes moved in the shadows, glimmers of light flashing and vanishing. He felt as though he had stepped into the memory of the universe itself. The whispers grew louder. They came from every direction. Not words, not sound, but impressions, questions, emotions, fragments of meaning. Who are you? Why are you here? What do you seek? Marcus took a slati, ow breath. His boots touched something solid, though he could not see it. The ring on his finger pulsed once, faint but clear, and the chamber responded. Light flared. Images appeared around him, vast cities of towering spires, starships cutting across the skies, beings of light walking among stars. Then war, fire, destruction, the fall of empires. He saw the builders, tall, radiant beings with eyes like suns. They worked with patience, building wonders that touched entire galaxies. But then they vanished, their creations abandoned, their name left only in legend. Marcus stumbled back. The vision shifted. He saw a younger version of himself, a boy sitting with his father by a campfire. His father pressed the ring into his hand. "One day, this will protect you, Marcus," his father's voice whispered. "But you must never remove it. Never forget it is part of you." The boy vanished, replaced by the image of the matriarch. Her fiery eyes glowed brighter, but in this vision, she looked younger. Her voice rang out. "When the bearer of the ring comes, the choice will be made, the end or the beginning." Marcus shook his head, trying to understand. The chamber whispered again, stronger this time. "What are you, human or more?" The ring pulsed harder, sending warmth through his hand and into his chest. He felt his heartbeat sync with it. The chamber's shadows recoiled as the silver band glowed brighter and brighter. Marcus clenched his fist. "I am human," he said firmly. The light around him flared. "But if the ring chose me, then I will not run from it. I will carry it, whatever it means." The darkness trembled, the whispers fell silent, and for the first time, the chamber seemed to bow to him. The endless black shifted into blinding white. The last thing Marcus heard before the light consumed him was a voice. Not his father's, not the matriarch's, not the chambers. It was something greater, ancient and powerful. A single phrase burned into his mind. You are the bridge. Outside, the matriarch and the council waited. A dosher of liquid silver trembled, glowing faintly. The guards looked away, muttering prayers. None expected to see Marcus return. But deep inside her heart, the matriarch feared something else. Not that he would fail, but that he would succeed. The conflict. The chamber doors had been sealed for what felt like an eternity. The council members shifted uneasily in their seats. Even the guards, usually still as statues, showed signs of discomfort, their eyes flickering nervously toward the shimmering silver wall. Whispers filled the great hall above. No one had dared enter the Chamber of Echoes in centuries. Most who tried were never seen again, and those who did return were broken, their minds shattered by what they had seen. The matriarch sat in silence at the far end of the hall, her fiery eyes locked on the door. She showed no fear, yet her grip on the staff was tight. Her mind raced with possibilities. If the human survived, if the chamber accepted him, then everything she had believed about her people, about the builders, would be shaken. Then, without warning, the silver door rippled. The air grew heavy. Every alien in the chamber turned as one, their voices falling into silence. The liquid surface split open. A blinding light spilled into the hall. The guards shielded their eyes, some falling to their knees, and out of the light stepped Marcus Hale. He walked calmly, though his breath was heavy. His eyes were sharp, brighter than before, and the ring on his hand burned with a faint silver glow that refused to fade. Gasps erupted through the council. Some aliens whispered in fear, others in rage. He survived, one muttered. The chamber accepted him, another said, trembling. The younger warrior who had demanded the trial leapt to his feet, his tendrils writhing in fury. Impossible, he roared. No human can survive the chamber. It tricks us. It deceives us. He carries a false ring. Marcus did not answer him. Instead, he raised his hand slowly, showing the silver band. Its glow pulsed once, faint but visible to all. The hall fell silent again. The matriarch's fiery eyes widened, not with anger, but with something far rarer, fear. She rose slowly from her seat, her staff trembling slightly in her grip. The chamber does not lie, she said, her voice echoing across the hall. If he stands before us now, untouched, then he has been judged worthy. Her words ignited the chamber into chaos. Some shouted that Marcus must be crowned as the chosen one of prophecy. Others screamed for his death, fearing the end of their age. The council was split in two. Marcus stood calmly in the middle of the storm, but inside, his heart pounded. The vision still burned in his mind. The builders, the fall, the voice whispering, "You are the bridge." He did not understand it fully, but he knew the alien's fear was more dangerous than the chamber itself. The younger warrior slammed his claw against the table, his voice shaking the walls. "I will not bow to a human. I will not accept this lie. We should cut his hand from his body and take the ring for ourselves." At his words, several guards moved, their weapons shifting in their hands. Marcus did not flinch. He looked at the warrior, his voice calm but sharp. "Try it," Marcus said, "and you will learn why the chamber spared me." The words cut through the noise like a blade. The warrior froze, his tendrils curling back in anger. The council fell into shocked silence. A human, speaking with such authority before the matriarch's council, was unheard of. The matriarch raised her staff again, her voice ringing out like thunder. "Enough!" she commanded. Her eyes burned brighter than fire as she looked across the chamber. "You are blinded by fear. You shout for his blood because you are afraid of what he represents. But the chamber has spoken, and its judgment cannot be denied." Still, many counselors growled in defiance. One with crystal skin hissed, "If we accept him, everything changes. Our power, our place, our history, all undone." "By a human," another added. "We cannot trust his kind. They are reckless. They are violent. They are too young to carry the builder's legacy." Marcus finally stepped forward, his voice steady. "You fear me not because I am human, but because I survived what you could not. His eyes swept across the council. "You call yourselves guardians of the Builder's legacy, yet you tremble before their truth. If the chamber chose me, then it is not your place to deny it." The words struck deep. Some aliens lowered their heads in shame. Others clenched their fists, furious but unable to answer. The matriarch watched him carefully. She had lived long enough to know the truth when she heard it. The ring was no trick, the chamber no lie. The human had been chosen, whether she liked it or not. But power was never accepted so easily. The younger warrior slammed his staff against the ground, his voice filled with venom. "Then let him prove it again. Words mean nothing. The chamber may deceive, but battle does not. If he is chosen, let him survive combat against me." The council erupted once more. Some cheered for the challenge, eager to see the human crushed. Others begged for peace, fearing bloodshed. The matriarch closed her eyes, considering the demand. When she opened them, her decision was clear. "Very well," she said, her voice heavy. "If blood is the only language you understand, then let it be spilled, human. Will you accept this trial?" Marcus's heart raced. He had not expected another challenge so soon, but he remembered the words of the voice in the chamber. "You are the bridge." If he was truly chosen, then turning away was not an option. He nodded once, his voice calm. "I accept." The warrior sneered, his tendrils writhing in anticipation. The council roared, the chamber shaking with their cries, and the matriarch's fiery eyes glowed brighter than ever as she raised her staff. "Then tomorrow," she declared, "the human will fight, and the truth will be written in blood." Marcus lowered his hand, the ring swells, till glowing faintly. The storm around him raged, but inside he felt a strange calm. He did not know what tomorrow would bring, but he knew one thing. The conflict had only begun. The truth. The arena was older than the council hall itself. It lay beneath the great city, hidden in the roots of the alien capital, carved from stone and metal that predated even their empire. Legends said it had been built by the builders as a place of trial, where warriors were tested not only in strength, but in spirit. Now, for the first time in countless centuries, the arena would open its gates, and the one to face its challenge was not an alien, but a human. Marcus Hale stood at the center of the vast circle, his boots pressing against ancient stone etched with glowing runes. The silver ring on his hand pulsed faintly, as if alive. Above him, the council filled the galleries, their strange forms leaning over the edge, their voices mixing in a storm of excitement and fear. The matriarch sat at the highest seat, her fiery eyes locked on him. Her staff rested across her knees, her face carved with iron resolve. She had agreed to this duel not out of cruelty, but necessity. If Marcus survived, he would silence many doubters. If he fell, the question of the prophecy would die with him. Across the arena stood his opponent, the young alien warrior who had demanded blood. His tendrils lashed with hunger for battle, his body armored in living plates that grew from his own flesh. He carried a long weapon that shifted in shape, metal and bone, twisting into a blade of jagged edges. The warrior raised his weapon high, his voice echoing through the chamber. "This is no prophecy," he declared. "This is no chosen one. He is just a man of flesh and weakness, and today I will tear him apart." The crowd roared, half in support, half in anger. Marcus did not respond. He simply adjusted his stance, calm and unshaken. The matriarch struck her staff once. "Begin," she commanded. The warrior lunged forward with terrifying speed. His blade sliced through the air, a blur of silver. Air and bone. Marcus barely dodged, the edge grazing his uniform, tearing the fabric. The crowd gasped. Marcus steadied himself, his eyes sharp. He had no weapon, no armor. All he had was the ring, and his will. The warrior struck again, this time with greater force. Marcus rolled aside, the blade crashing into the stone floor, sparks flying. The runes beneath their feet flickered at the impact. Glowing brighter, Marcus clenched his fist, feeling the ring pulse. It was warm now, almost alive. He didn't understand it, but he trusted it. The warrior charged again. Marcus raised his hand instinctively. The ring flared with silver light. A pulse of energy rippled outward, throwing the warrior back across the arena. The crowd erupted in chaos. Gasps, shouts, cries of disbelief. Even the matriarch's eyes widened, her staff trembling slightly. The warrior growled, rising to his feet. "You think tricks will save you, human?" he spat. He rushed again, faster, angrier, his weapon slicing through the air like lightning. Marcus moved more easily now. The ring's glow sharpened his senses. He saw the attacks before they came. He ducked, sidestepped, countered with swift strikes of his own. His fists, though unarmed, struck with unnatural strength. Every time the ring pulsed, his blows landed harder, faster. The warrior stumbled, his confidence breaking. But rage burned hotter in him. He let out a guttural roar, his body swelling with alien power, his armor thickening. His blade became a monstrous spear of jagged bone and steel. He hurled it at Marcus with deadly force. Marcus raised his hand once more. The ring shone brighter than ever. The spear stopped midair, suspended as if caught in invisible hands. Then, with a burst of energy, it shattered into fragments of dust. The arena fell into dead silence. No one had ever seen such power, not from a human, not from any being since the age of the builders. Marcus looked down at his hand, his breath heavy. The ring glowed steadily, calm, as though it had always known this moment would come. He looked back at the warrior, who stared in shock, his tendrils frozen in disbelief. "You said I am weak," Marcus said quietly, his voice carrying across the arena. "But the chamber showed me the truth. The ring does not lie. It chose me. Not you, not any of you. Me." The warrior snarled and charged again in blind fury, but Marcus did not move. He lifted his fist and let the ring pulse one final time. A wave of silver energy blasted outward. The warrior was thrown across the arena, crashing into the far wall. He lay motionless, defeated, his weapon shattered, his pride destroyed. The arena was silent. Every alien in the gallery stared down at Marcus. Fear, awe, and disbelief battled in their eyes. The prophecy had come alive before them, undeniable. The matriarch rose to her feet, her fiery eyes burning brighter than ever. She struck her staff against the stone, the sound echoing through the ancient chamber. "Enough," she said, her voice heavy with authority. "The trial is finished. The chamber judged him, and now the arena confirms it. The human is the bearer of the ring. The prophecy is real." The crowd erupted, not with cheers, but with shouts of fear and protest. Some bowed their heads in submission. Others screamed in denial, their voices breaking in desperation. The council was divided more than ever, but Marcus stood tall in the center, his hands still glowing faintly. He did not smile, did not celebrate. He only whispered the words that had been burned into his mind inside the chamber of echoes. "I am the bridge." The matriarch heard him, her eyes narrowing. She alone understood the weight of those words, for she knew what the prophecy truly said. The bearer of the ring will not only unite worlds, he will decide their fate. And for the first time in centuries, the matriarch felt something she had not felt even in war. Not fear of death, not fear of failure, but fear of change. The stunned silence. The arena was still. The echoes of battle had faded, but the air was heavy, like a storm waiting to break. Marcus stood in the center of the ancient circle, his chest rising and falling with steady breaths. The silver ring on his hand glowed faintly, a heartbeat of light against the shadows. The warrior lay broken at the far wall, his tendrils limp, his armor shattered. Guards hurried to pull him away, but his eyes were open, filled with disbelief. For the first time in his proud life, he had been defeated, and by a human. Above, the galleries of the council erupted into chaos. Some shouted in awe, praising the prophecy fulfilled. Others screamed in denial, demanding Marcus's death before the ring consumed them all. The voices clashed like thunder, their fear louder than their reason. But the matriarch remained silent, Her fiery eyes never left the human below. She saw him not as a man of flesh and bone, but as a question that threatened to undo centuries of truth. Her staff trembled in her grip, not from weakness, but from the weight of what she must decide. Marcus raised his head, his voice carrying clear and calm. "You have your answer," he said. "The chamber judged me. The arena proved me. And still you shout like frightened children, afraid of your own shadows." The noise quieted. Hundreds of glowing eyes turned toward him, some with fury, some with fear, some with hope. Marcus lifted his hand, showing the ring. The faint glow pulsed in time with his words. "This is not about power. This is not about blood or race. This is about truth. You speak of prophecy, yet you try to deny it when it does not fit your pride. The builders chose me, not because I am human, but because I am willing to stand where you will not." The silence deepened. Even the matriarch did not interrupt him. Marcus lowered his hand, his eyes steady. "You wanted proof," he said. "Now you have it. What you do next will decide not only your future, but mine as well." The council stirred, uneasy. A crystal-skinned elder leaned forward, his voice sharp. "If we accept you, we surrender all we are. We bow to a human who claims to be chosen." A scaled alien hissed in reply. "If we deny him, we defy the chamber and the arena. Do you wish to curse us all?" The debate spiraled into madness again, voices rising, threats and arguments clashing like swords. The matriarch struck her staff against the stone. The sound cut through the storm, silencing the chamber. Her fiery eyes burned as she looked down at Marcus. "You carry the ring," she said, her voice deep and steady. "You survived what none have survived. You defeated our champion with nothing but will and truth. These cannot be denied, but prophecy is not victory, human. It is burden." Her words sank heavy into the chamber. The council members shifted uneasily, unsure if her tone meant acceptance or rejection. Marcus met her gaze, calm and unshaken. "I did not ask for this," he said, "but I will not run from it either." The matriarch studied him for a long time. Her eyes searched for weakness, for deceit, but found none. All she saw was resolve, the same resolve that had once marked the builders. At last she spoke. "Then the truth is clear," she declared. "The human is chosen. The prophecy has awakened." The galleries fell into uproar again. Some cried out in reverence, others in fury. But none could deny the matriarch's judgment. She lifted her staff high, her voice ringing across the chamber. "The ring has returned, and with it, the destiny of all our worlds. We stand on the edge of a path unseen, and this human, Marcus Hale, is the bridge between what was and what will be." Her declaration struck the chamber like lightning. No one cheered, no one celebrated. Instead, silence crept in, heavy and absolute, the stunned silence of beings who realized their universe had changed forever. Marcus felt the weight of every eye on him. He should have felt triumph, but instead he felt the pressure of a truth greater than himself. The voice from the chamber of echoes whispered in his mind again, softer this time. "You are the bridge, but bridges can break." The matriarch lowered her staff, her fiery eyes never leaving Marcus. "Human," she said, her voice quieter now, almost weary. "Know this, what you carry will not only unite or divide us, it may destroy us all. The builders chose you, but they are gone. You must decide if their choice was wise." Her words echoed into the silence. The council watched. The guards froze. Even the defeated warriors stared with wide eyes. All waited for Marcus's reply. Marcus raised his head, his voice steady. "I am no builder," he said. "I am no god. I am only human. But if I must carry this ring, then I will use it not to rule you, but to remind you what you have forgotten: courage." The silence deepened. Some bowed their heads, humbled, others turned away, unable to accept it. The matriarch closed her eyes for a long moment. When she opened them, there was fire still, but also something new: respect. "Then so it begins," she whispered. And with those words, the fate of worlds shifted. The arena lights dimmed, the ancient runes fading back into silence. The guards escorted Marcus from the chamber, though none dared touch him. The council broke into whispers, voices of fear, of hope, of prophecy. But the matriarch remained seated long after the others left, her staff across her knees, her eyes fixed on the empty arena floor. She whispered to herself words no one else could hear. The bridge has been built, but where it leads, none can follow. Above the arena, in the city beyond, the stars burned bright. A new path had begun, one written not by the builders, not by the council, but by a single human with a ring of silver light. And across the galaxy, unseen forces stirred, for prophecy never sleeps, and silence is never truly silent.